His hands were still shaking when the couch split open. For a second, he thought his heart had stopped. His legs gave way, and he dropped to the dusty wooden floor, staring at what his grandfather had hidden all those years ago, something that would rewrite his past, his pain, and his future forever. But before we begin the story, if you are watching our videos for the first time, please hit the subscribe button. Your support means everything to us. It helps us bring you stronger, deeper, and more powerful stories every single day. Now, let's begin the story. The morning Marcus Bell lost his job, the sun hadn't even fully risen yet. He stood in the break room of the logistics warehouse, still wearing his steel-toe boots, coffee untouched in his hand, listening as his manager avoided eye contact. "Marcus, corporate is cutting costs. We're letting you go. No warning. No apology." Just a thin smile and a printed termination paper slid across the table. Marcus was a black man in his mid-30s, quiet, dependable, the kind of worker who stayed late and complained never. For 8 years, he had shown up before dawn, carried loads that wrecked his back, and trained new hires who ended up getting promoted over him. And now, just like that, he was disposable. He walked out with his box of belongings while other workers pretended not to see him. The cold air outside hit his face, and for a moment, he just stood there, unsure where to go next. His phone buzzed. A message from his bank. Balance, $47.83. His chest tightened. When he got home, the silence was worse than the warehouse. The apartment felt empty in a way that had nothing to do with sound. He dropped his box near the door and noticed the closet was open. Drawers were missing. The TV was gone. Even the framed wedding photo on the wall had vanished, leaving behind a pale rectangle of dust. That's when he saw the note on the kitchen counter. Asterisk Marcus, I can't do this anymore. I needed a way out. I took the money. Please don't try to find me, asterisk. No signature. No apology. His wife of 6 years had emptied their joint savings account and disappeared. Marcus sank into a chair, his head in his hands. Fired before breakfast. Abandoned before lunch. By nightfall, he was alone in a stripped-down apartment with bills he couldn't pay and nowhere to turn. He didn't cry. He just stared at the wall until the sky outside went dark. That night, with nowhere else to go, Marcus packed what little he had left into his old car and drove out of the city. Back to the one place he swore he'd never return to. His grandfather's house. The house sat at the edge of a forgotten town, surrounded by weeds and silence. It had been years since Grandpa Elijah passed away, and even longer since Marcus had stepped foot inside. Life had gotten busy. Then complicated. Then broken. The porch creaked as he walked up. The door still opened with the same stubborn groan. Inside, the air smelled like dust, old books, and memories. Marcus dropped his bag and slowly looked around. Everything was exactly as his grandfather left it. The crooked clock. The faded rug. The worn-out couch pushed against the wall, its fabric torn and sagging in the middle. That couch. As a kid, Marcus used to sleep on it while Grandpa Elijah sat nearby, telling stories in a low, steady voice. "Life gonna knock you down, boy," his grandpa used to say. "But don't you ever forget, what's meant for you can't be stolen." Marcus laughed bitterly at the memory. "Guess you were wrong, Grandpa," he muttered. Days passed. Marcus applied for jobs online using the house's slow internet. Rejection emails came quickly, if they came at all. His savings were gone. His phone buzzed with overdue notices. One night, unable to sleep, Marcus sat on the old couch. The springs jabbed into his back. He shifted, frustrated. Then he felt something hard beneath the cushion. He frowned. That wasn't right. He pulled the cushion aside and pressed down again. There it was, a solid shape, hidden deep inside the couch. His heart started pounding. Carefully, he tore the loose fabric underneath. Dust filled the air. His fingers brushed against something wrapped in thick oilcloth. When he finally pulled it out, the couch sagged back into place. Marcus stared at what lay in his hands. Inside the bundle were old documents, neatly stacked. Envelopes yellowed with age. A leather-bound notebook. And beneath it all, stacks of cash. Real cash. His breath caught. His legs went weak. He dropped to the floor, clutching the bundle as if it might vanish. "No, no way," he whispered. His grandfather, who wore the same coat for 20 years, who fixed things instead of replacing them, had hidden this inside a beat-up couch. Marcus flipped through the notebook with trembling hands. It was his grandfather's handwriting. Page after page detailed investments, land purchases, business partnerships, all done quietly, carefully, over decades. Elijah Bell hadn't been poor. He had been smart. And careful. And prepared. At the back of the notebook was a letter. "Marcus. If you're reading this, it means life knocked you flat. I knew it would. It does that to good men. This isn't just money. It's a second chance. Use it with wisdom. Help others when you can. And never let the world tell you what you're worth." Marcus broke down then. For the first time in years, he cried, not from pain, but from relief. The money wasn't millions, but it was enough. Enough to breathe again. Enough to rebuild. Over the next months, Marcus paid off his debts, fixed up the house, and enrolled in courses his grandfather had written recommendations for years ago but never mailed. He didn't rush. He remembered Elijah's words. Quiet strength. Steady steps. 1 year later, Marcus stood in a small office downtown, signing papers for his own business, a logistics consulting firm that helped small, minority-owned companies survive in a system designed to crush them. When his former manager reached out, asking if Marcus was open to contract work, Marcus smiled politely and declined. Some doors, once closed, are meant to stay that way. On quiet evenings, Marcus still sat on the old couch. He never replaced it. Because sometimes, what looks broken is only waiting to be opened. And sometimes, the inheritance you need most isn't money. It's the belief that you were never meant to lose.